Now, while these are still letters, they're easy to get into position. So I'm using my arrow keys on the keyboard to just nudge this along. I know I'm going to want some space so that I can add an outline that will actually be my applique stitch, because that's your end goal, is to make these into an applique. But right now they're letters, and so because they're letters, what I'll see is that remove overlaps is not available to me. I've got to make them into shapes, and one of the easiest way to do that is to break them apart. So the first time I break them apart, it takes them to individual letters, but they are still letters. So when I open up my object properties and I look, so I've selected just the R, and that's what it's showing me. These are still letters. So I'll close this. I'll select both of them. I'm going to hit Control A on my keyboard to get both of them selected. I'm going to break them apart again. So now you see that I have just individual components. So I know these are no longer letters. Now, color film has two views. So I'm looking at it now as everything that is in the same color. When I touch color film again, it shows me each element that make up these shapes. They're not really letters, they're just shapes. Color film toggles back and forth. I'm touching this icon each time to look at it in a different manner, in a different way. So let me select them both, and let's start to get this ready to do a cutout. We're going to run a name along this side, and we're going to remove part of this shape. It's not a letter, they are shapes. Although they have satin stitches in them now. What we'll eventually end up with is, we'll turn this into an applique. I've been turning them into just a fill stitch. But see, I don't want, even with my fill stitch, I don't want this business going on. I want to weld them together. This tool is new in version 9. We now have a weld, and once I do that, I don't have those breaks that we normally see when we're embroidering letters. They are objects. Okay. I think my next step, I usually go ahead and run an outline, but I think from here, there's so many ways you can do this, and I think I kind of go about it differently each time. But the main thing you need to know is you cannot remove overlaps from letters. It can be done from objects. So the name, let's go into lettering, and I right click to bring up my my lettering menu. You can use the name Kayla, and let's find just a pretty and if you select this, you can use your up arrow just to run through them. And if you see to the right there, it's given me an idea of the best size that letter would be to embroider. And it's also given me an idea of what it will look like embroidered. I'm looking for something that's about at least 30 millimeters. I'm also looking for kind of a pretty script. I'm not sure which one you used. I like Lisa. I use it a lot, but it's kind of narrow. Let's do Island. And let's see what it looks like. Of course, this is a suggestion. It was digitized to be used at 10 to 25 millimeters. Let's try 25. And we'll say, okay. And there's my name. 25 is not bad for that. Let's give it a different color. Well, I think that might do pretty good. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is take Kayla and make a cookie cutter out of it so that I can cut away part of this applique, this R. This, it's not an R, it's a shape that looks like the letter R. So we're going to go into Edit, and we want this to stay as lettering. But I'm going to use outlines and offsets. I'm going to offset it maybe 4 millimeters. Let's give it a different color, something we could see. I don't want to include holes because I want this to be a solid, just like a cookie cutter would be. Okay, now we'll take this straight stitch, and the reason I do everything in straight stitch first, touching reshape, same thing here. I zoom in, I can start to see where I might have trouble with this. It's not too bad. It's got a few places where I would prefer, you know, a round node instead. So what I've done is I've selected that straight node. I'll touch my space bar, and that curves, turns it into a curve. This is an extra one. Whoop. Let's just take it out. That's probably an extra one. These aren't too bad. That's going to create an angle where I don't want it. I would probably convert this one. This is the time to be picky. When you've got it in a straight stitch, and I'm probably not going to let that come down so deep. Let's take this one out. Let's move this one to about there. Let's curve that a little bit. See, and you can get kind of picky with it. What does my curve do there? Yeah, I like that. That one needs to be a straight. This one I'll just remove. Oop, got an extra one. Grab it and delete. Just so I can kind of keep that curve going there. Kind of like the curve there. This is getting a little messy. Let's just take some of these out. Same thing here. I don't need that to jut down like that. Let's get rid of that one. And let's get rid of that one. See, that leaves my curve. Delete. Delete that. Oh, which one? The curve. Oh, I like that. Okay. I got lucky with that one. Everything looks pretty smooth. Now start saving these as you go along. So I've started a new design. So let me save this. I think the other one had a space. I'll take the space out of this one, just so it'll be a brand new file. Okay, so now let's make that a fill stitch. And I'm going to take both of these and rotate them. And they're both selected so that I can move them where I'd like to place this. And it's your choice how. Keep in mind, you're thinking ahead to applique. So you're going to have some stitches, some satin stitches that come here. You may have some satin stitches here. You don't want to fight each other too much. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to touch 0 on my keyboard to see everything together. Kind of like that. Touching 0 is the same thing. Let's see, it's this one. Zoom to fit is your, when I touch 0, it's the same thing as coming up and selecting that magnifying glass. Okay. Now, with this selected, but I don't want it to get rid of this. So this Kayla, I'm going to lock. I'm touching K on my keyboard. It's a teeny tiny lock. I wish they could make that bigger. The other way to get to it is to right click and touch lock. And K is my shortcut. Okay. So I've locked it so that when I use my cookie cutter, it doesn't take it away as well. So whatever's on top, that's what is going to remove. It says remove overlaps, but what it's doing, do you see that it took away here? It's actually what's underneath. Okay. This, I'm going to turn back into just my straight stitch because I might decide I want to use it again. More than likely, I'm going to do a satin stitch around it, and it will cover my applique when I get that far. And I'm going to leave it as a straight stitch now. And let's make that a different color. I like using that green as a placement stitch for my applique. So we'll just use orange for now and leave it as is. So that's how you cut away part of a shape. Now we want to think about how to do an applique. I tried some of the built-in tools for applique. There's several different ways to go about it. You can even remove overlaps. So these are great tools to play with, and I encourage you to do that. But I am going to show you what I had done before I had all of these tools. Some of these came about in version 9. But I had always just used the outlines and offsets to make my applique. And I just found I had more control that way. So my placement stitch, I like to use a green, usually kind of a bright green. So that will be my placement. And you can see it's got the cutout. Then from this one, so this will be a straight stitch. My choice is to do something that's maybe 4 millimeters in length and just a single stitch for my placement. Okay. And I'm looking for anything odd. Looks pretty good. So now I'll duplicate that. And I'm going to make it blue. That's just my habit. I'm going to start hiding this because this is going to be fabric. Right now it's stitches. So I'll hide. There's not a shortcut for hide. I wish there was. It looks like I've got a place that didn't close up. I'll have to tend to that. Let's see if it's in the... May have to hide this. Yeah, it's in the green one. Okay. Well, this is a good opportunity to look at edit, and our close curve is not available to us. Okay. I'm not sure why that didn't fill in, and I'm having to kind of correct it. And while I'm at it, I'm going to fix this. That line is not straight up and down like I would like. Okay, that's not bad. In this one, there were some places that I knew I needed to straighten up. Let's get rid of those. And then this funny little thing. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So I'm going to unhide this. And since I knew that this one had some trouble, let's just delete it. Let's go back. Hide this one. Okay. So now that I've cleaned up the places that were bugging me, looks like that one might be another one. Just going to straighten up these lines. Okay. Now I'll duplicate it. So Control D, and I'm going to assign that the blue color. It's going to be my tack down. So the green is my placement. Let's go ahead and move this into position. This is what's going to tack my fabric in place. Let's hide this for now. Hide. Yeah, Kayla's not bothering me. We'll leave her. And let's do a outline. This is a pattern run. But I want to use my own. You could use just a zigzag. Go into Object Properties. And if you touch this, you get a better idea of what the stitches look like. And I've made my own. Let's use this little one. See how we like it. I do. Okay. So it automatically knew on the inside of my R to reverse that. And so I want to tack down the fabric, but through this area, I don't want any satin stitch once we get there. So from Let's go back to the original one, duplicate it again, and while it is a straight stitch, let's use what's still another color? Oh, I'm losing power. While it's a straight stitch, I'm going to go ahead and cut away this part that I don't want to be satin stitch. So I'll choose the knife. It's under my edit toolbox, and see how it highlights it in pink. So I can cut this here, and I'll come down and cut it here. I'll hit enter on my keyboard, and it's not showing me the cutaway, so let me change my color film again. There it is. Looks like a funny little face, but this is what's going to go away. And then these two pieces will get an outline of a satin stitch. And so the fabric will be tacked down here, but I don't want that heavy satin stitch to come under where I have Kayla. So now let's unhide everything. Unhide all. And let's go ahead and make this one also a satin stitch. And it's going to go on top of this one, so I can touch, move to the end, and that's going to sew on top. Now, it missed this, so I will go back and find it. Perhaps I can select here. I think I've got it selected. Let's try. Satin stitch. Got it. Until so that I can see it. So what you're seeing, these are stitches right now, but it represents fabric that will go in here. And that should finish up. I'm going to save it. Control, save. And I know these are crazy colors, and you can work out which ones you really do need. And let's see, let's do Kayla. Actually, is the very last thing. There she goes. And that way you can concentrate on your applique pieces, which are going to be your placement, your tack down, your satin stitch. Notice it leaves this off, and it catches the edge with this one, which will probably be another color, and then finish off with the gal's name. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.